Open up your eyes and see all the fun and mystery. Take an African adventure with daring and destiny. From the mountains to the shore, so many things to explore. Take an African adventure with daring and destiny.
Okay, right.
So you
Great.
got
How you
everybody
doing?
doing well. You got everybody fired up. As a matter of fact, Nana, he saw the interview with you, and then Nana came in and he did one the following day.
Right. I
Yeah,
see.
yeah. So I said,
I
well,
was watching it, but I saw mine. I went in to watch mine too.
I said, let me find out. We have we've started something here.
Yeah.
Because in
Yes.
essence, what happens is when people find out that because all of these conversations are really good conversations. These
Mm-hmm.
conversations are not. These are very intelligent conversations.
Mm-hmm.
They're conversations between people who are on. We're in the same battle,
Right.
but at the same time, we share a common experience, but we're learning from each other's common experience.
It's true.
But which you don't hear these conversations quite like this.
You don't.
Not quite like this, where we're able to. A lot of times I hear conversations and everybody's trying to gloss something up or make something better or trying to make something bad. It's like this is just an honest conversation with both
Mm-hmm.
sides. Everybody's sharing, this is what I see, this is what I've been through, this is how we can solve the problem, this is what's what. And it doesn't have any propaganda attached to it.
That's right.
Say it. It's not like we're trying to sell a dream to someone and
No.
people are like, no, wait a minute, now that's not my reality. My reality is this right here. But somebody else's reality might be very different. It might be
Right.
part of the dreams, So it's just good to have that conversation. So what's on your mind today, Eben?
Yes.
What's going on
Let me show you for some tutorial.
we got you want to
Right here. Share screen first. Right. Let me go to share screen.
Mm-hmm. And make sure you click it to where it shows the whole screen and everything.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Right. So here.
See,
Okay.
everybody,
Right.
this is the tutorial right here. The Zoom tutorial that Eben goes through he's gonna be a master at this by the time it's all said and done. And then you obviously click that the slideshow, go up to slideshow.
Yes, slideshow.
Right up top, and then you click that and start it. And
okay. Then from the beginning, yes. Amazing. How was your weekend?
All was good. I had a lot of good conversations, and so looking forward to this conversation, and looking forward to talking to more people. Just in case anybody's wondering, anybody watching right now, that if you want to have a conversation, an intelligent conversation, it's got to be intelligent conversations. You can hit me at jcameronofficial@gmail.com. That's jcameronofficial@gmail.com. We can set this up, and I look to talk to anyone on the continent of Africa or part of the African diaspora. You might be in America or Europe, Australia, the Caribbean, Canada, South America, Russia, Ukraine, wherever you might be, we can have this conversation. So that's the deal. All right, Eben, so what we got happening here? I see the trauma face Great America Western World. Oh, wow. Yes. All right. What's going on with this?
Yes. I was thinking after we had a conversation about the diaspora African and also diaspora American that goes to Ghana and vice versa. We also come in here and some of the issues that we see that could be a trauma, because I've heard in other conversations that African Americans had been to America and to Ghana or to other part of Africa, and they didn't expect what they saw over there. But I want to use a Ghanaian or African based diaspora who had traveled, like adapted diaspora, and as we mentioned before, as a sample. So at least we'll be able to know what some of us, when we come here, we also see and what we face and how we adjust. Okay. And it's going to be a great conversation. I just want to thank you again, and also your audience, for always coming and tuning in and listening, and also taking guidance from you. It's very humbling. And thank you for today. Thank you again.
Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing your insight. I do have one question before we get started. What's your local name?
Oh, I'm Kojo the day. Kojo,
You
Kojo.
born on Monday, right?
Monday, yes.
So I'm Kojo. I'm Kojo also. I'm Kojo
Oh, you
also.
are. I
Yeah.
see. Something
I'm
common.
Kojo. I'm Kojo Chumbarema.
I see.
Yeah, see,
Kojo Chum.
yeah,
Kojo Chum.
Kojo Chum. Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Kojo Fori. I'm called Kojo Fori.
See, all right, Coach. See, I was about to say because we were gonna get into this too far because I said I know Ebenezer is not your local name.
Right.
I said,
Right.
I know better. I know better now.
Yes.
So, all right. So let's dive into this. What's your ethnic group, by the way?
I'm from Gan Adangbe. Gan Adangbe.
You're
So
Ga.
Gan, yes, Gan, yes.
So you're from Accra? Are you from
Accra,
Accra?
Accra, yes, Accra.
Yes, I know my folks.
Yes.
I know my folks. So the Ga migrated from the area that we now know as Nigeria.
Nigeria, yes,
Mhm.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right. Just kind of put this into perspective here. All right. So let's talk about it, Eben. The trauma faced with in the great America, Western world, the African challenges in America. So talking about the challenges in America, let's talk about it.
Yes, the challenges in America, I think I had mentioned it previously, but if I didn't, when I got over from Ghana coming to America, everybody's excited. And I tell you how many times I have been to that embassy, try to fly to America, the street of gold. So a street where, everything is perfect and excellent. So that mindset in from Ghana was really within our hearts or my heart before I came here. And any other child that you could talk with in any country apart from America or the Western world, we have that same mindset because we always see the glamorous things, that they show us in the TVs, in the videos, in the movies. So our mindset are tuned to those, but the reality on the ground is when you hit the ground running like a marshal.
How did you go about getting a visa to the U.S.? Because I know that's difficult. I know getting a visa to come into America, especially from West African countries and African countries in general, because they don't want. You mean the white establishment in America does not want people who have melanin in their skin, just like with Haiti, how they welcomed everybody from Afghanistan. But then when it came to Haiti, the Haitian refugees, now they're getting whipped and beaten and everything. So how were you able to get a visa to the United States?
That's very deep. That's very deep about using Haiti as an illustration. And I never even thought deeply like that, how everybody else was transported from Afghanistan to America, and individuals from Haiti, they got whipped and they got turned back. That is really deep. And I think that should be a whole topic that you should bring up here, exposed to your audience here. Yes, me coming here, through a spousal visa, so it was a little easy for me to be able to get out here.
What kind of visa was it again?
Spouse, through a spouse.
Oh, go ahead.
A spouse, yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
go ahead, Coach. Let me find out. Was that the 90-day one? Was it the 90-day?
Yes, I got a 90-day one, to the fiancé, they call it the fiancé visa. So that's what I got, to get over here, yes.
Okay. See, people getting ideas,
Yes.
So you were able to get the spousal visa, you got here. What were some of the realities and challenges that you faced once you hit the ground?
Yes. Once I hit the ground, when I hit the airport, when we were flying, I was so excited, in the plane and everything. Once we hit JFK, I was asking myself that how can I exit? That was the thought process. How do I exit from the airport?
Oh, leaving the airport.
Leaving the airport, yes. Exiting the airport, yes.
I thought you were going leaving America. I was like, well, you just got here. Now we got some good things.
Yeah, exiting from the airport into the city.
Into the land of milk and honey. Into the land
milk and honey, yes.
With gold. Into the,
But I really, that day was a summer day. It was July 21st. I left Ghana, so I got over here July 22nd. Yes, I remember that. And it was very hot. So I'm like,
In New York, it's very hot.
It's very, very, very hot and humid, and there was no air blowing. So I asked myself, is that the air that I'm going to breathe? Can I survive? I started thinking. So right from the airport, there was some sort of fear, that started gripping you, thinking that, you are going to a place where even the air that blows out there is different air. And this is deep, and I have never thought about it that way. But when I hit the ground, I'm like, wow, this is so humid, and it was so hot. But lo and behold, when I exited from the airport outside and trying to get transportation to my Harlem area where I've been all along, I found this gentleman who had a limousine. So I had a chance to ride in a limousine for the first time in my life.
You see, all of this is a setup. You land in New York City.
In New York City.
You doing like coming to America.
He
You
coming to
getting out,
America.
getting in the limousine. Did you have your lion thing on? Did you have your Joffrey Jafar lion? You didn't have
I
that
didn't
on?
have that, but
Okay.
you mentioned something that is coming up soon. You really read my mind. Yeah, that's good instinct.
Hey, I've been around for a little while. I've been around.
Yeah.
So you got in the limousine.
Yeah, in the limousine, right to Harlem,
I mean,
and
straight off the plane from
yeah,
Ghana, you
and
hop in
from
a limousine.
mm-hmm,
So your
mm-hmm.
mind was probably blown at this
Yeah,
point.
I was blown off. I saw that in a movie, and like the first thing that came to my mind is Eddie Murphy, coming to America. So I'm like, wow. I was right at the back. They have drinks, they have everything in there, and I was sitting down. But it was a little shock for me even to sit in a limousine.
Yes.
But that was the first time. I'm like, I got a good ride. So I think this might be a very good journey.
That sounds like it's about to go in a different direction.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
I'm
okay.
like the luxury started. I got
Yeah.
good luxury. They brought me all the way down. But when I got out from the limousine, I had to climb 6 stairs without elevator up. I'm like, wow. This is the first time climbing up 6 stairs, flight, as a matter of fact, up without elevator. And I was tired when I got up there with my luggages.
Really?
With my luggage, yes. It was very tiring. Yeah, I stayed in that building for a while, but the reality on the ground, we hit the ground running. It was not a joke. So I went in to talk about some acute, chronic, and complex trauma that happened to people. Acute is very short period of time.
Mm-hmm.
Chronic is maybe 2 or 3 times, but complex, the person had a lot of trauma, maybe you in an abusive situation. I think you mentioned that also in one of the clips that I was watching, that our clip, when you were ending, you were using a boy that had been abused, or a family that had abused a child, that they bring another child that did not abuse,
Right,
how
yes,
they
yes.
relate to each other, or how they do their thing. So
Mm-hmm.
if it's one time, it's acute. If it's 2, 3 times, it's getting chronic. But maybe you are in a long-term relationship where always being punched, being cut off, and you always afraid to go home. This will happen again, and you are in it. You are not able to get out. That become complex, and we want to translate this perspective into reality of adults who are living, who are not even being abused,
Okay.
but abused in like physically in a relationship, but mentally they are going through a lot of stress. They are going through a lot of trauma, and it's daily trauma. Maybe 1 time, 2 times, like the case at the airport where I got in a limousine, and I wrote to everyone, call people that, hey, I rode in a limousine, when I got over here, it's luxury, I spoke about that. But that is 1 time mitigation to my fear of getting here to America.
Okay.
That's 1 time. But being in that limousine also started changing my perspective right away, that if I was able to ride in a limousine like Eddie Murphy, then it seemed there's something good out here. Then the chronic part is that after you have exited the airport, come and now face the reality and see that, no, look, I have to work. Like myself, when I came in, I work in the hardware store where I work with an individual, African-American individual, gentleman, but he was very verbally abusive. He always called me Mother F, Mother F.
Wow.
Mother F, yes, all the time, yes, anytime, And when he's talking to these people, he say Mother F. He was like protective, but at the same time, very verbally abusive somehow, And until the time where
was this a black person, a white person?
It's a black person, yes, a black person.
Interesting.
Yes,
interesting
yes.
That you make that interesting that you make
The distinction, yeah,
Yes,
it's a black
sir.
person, yeah.
Yes, sir.
We worked on 8th Avenue. I remember that it's a hardware store. I'm not going to mention the name for confidential purposes, but that guy verbally abused to a point where 1 time I went to work and I'm like, thank you very much. you've been good to me in certain ways. I mean, bought me food to 8 years. I mean, he told me he has gone. If somebody ever temper with me, he will shoot that person. But
Right.
that motherfucker and things that he tells you, really, I told him that thank you, but I can't work anymore. I didn't quit like I came home. I went and quit gently also. Yeah, so that becomes like a chronic situation repeatedly.
Yeah, but you know
Repeatedly.
what? That's something that he would not have done to a black American, because he would have got his whipped if he would not have done that. Now, some people he might have tried that with, but if he would have done, he would have known better than to do that. When I say this, meaning if he's a black American, right?
Right.
If he would have done that with a black American, he would have thought twice, because he would have known that, nah, Jack, you know, we don't get down like that. You
That's
know.
right.
So what he would try to do, and I see this, and I say this because I see a lot of black Americans go in like this on people from Africa and from other places when they come in, because they're learning the culture,
Mhm.
and that could be part of what breeds some of the resentment. You know. So
Right.
you talk about the abuse. So anyway, I just wanted to just drop that in there. But
Oh
go
yeah,
ahead.
that's great. I mean, anytime it's a conversation, so anytime you chip in, we're learning from you also. So that becomes chronic. So I left. I didn't wait to the complex stage, and I walked to CVS and got a job. I mean, I had really always gotten a job, even from interviews. I've gotten jobs when people sit down with me and they hear me and they ask me questions. I say I get a job right away. Yeah, one time I'll come and talk about the perspective of how I got a job over here that probably maybe could educate some of the community also out here and what
I'm
to
gonna tell
do.
you why you get the jobs, though. I hire people. I've hired hundreds of people in my career. You're humble.
Thank
You're
you very
humble and you're
much.
professional, and you have a demeanor. You have a pleasant demeanor. I would hire you. You know, if you come in the door and you're humble, you're respectful, you have a pleasant demeanor, then I would hire you, because that would be a good representation. So that your presentation. How about this? This is your second time on the show.
Right. Thank you
So
very much.
I'm just saying, because I mean, you're good people. It's just, I can tell that you have a sincere disposition, and you desire to want to have a good conversation and share good information. So that you'll do fine. You know, so that is something that people could take from, but people will take your kindness as a weakness,
That's true.
and
That's
they will
true.
say Eben's nice, so let's see if we can take advantage of him. But, okay, go ahead. My bad. I didn't mean
No,
to
no, that's
interrupt
fine.
you.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, I'm learning. In fact, as a matter of fact, when I watched the video, I saw that there's certain place I have to pause. I'm very humble learner too. I have to pause and have you talk. And once you finish talking, I pick it from there, and it make the show really flow very well. So, of course, we bring in your perspective and also more ideas, so that I don't be like we just going just by the book. So, thank you very much for that. Also, I appreciate that. Yeah. So back to the complex situation. I mean, I haven't faced any complex situation because in fact, my mom, who is 84, who currently lives with me, I mean, here, and I take care of her fully. I'm her case worker, social worker, and everything. Make sure that she don't go through what I went through when I came in here. Taught us very well, and because of that, I'd always move up to look for new things if they don't work. But when I love something and I'm doing something like the casework I'm doing right now, it's like I'm loving it. So whatever goes on, I still look at the love of the work. And I've heard a lot of people say the same thing that you've given, perspective that you've given me currently, that when I speak with them, they feel some calmness, they feel some peace around them. And to hear from you, it means a lot to me. So thank you very much. Yes. Thank you. So our next thing that we want to talk about, now before we move from this chronic, acute, and everything, we want to translate it to how we feel. Like in mind, all this thing that I'm talking about is in the mind of an average African who has come to this country and especially don't know their way. Can you um, I want to point out to something that happened that one time I was in the train and I missed my stop.
Okay.
I thought I was dead. That was the first time that I came here. I thought everything was gone. I thought I was lost and somebody might get me, and I can't get back home. Riding the train by myself. And I missed a stop because I would have to count every stop and look at every number. Because, the announcement, sometimes you don't hear the announcement in the train.
Yeah.
A lot of people. So when we talk about trauma, it's a rare thing in our community when people really come from every part of African continent here. If they are not exposed to the Western world, it's a reality. Look at this train situation that I told you.
Yeah.
Like, wow, I was scared. But it got to a point where it just triggered in my heart that, why don't you get off the train? Because the train keep going down, 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 and see and ask someone that you are going back to the area that you came from. And that is how I got back to home. What a deep breath that I took.
You know, a
Okay.
lot of people over in probably feel that way over in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
When they get over there,
Yes.
you know, because they're thinking somebody's gonna get them, and they get off out of the air. I watch people come out of the airport look like they're shell shocked, like looking around, like, I was in Africa. Is somebody gonna come get me? You know, so
Mhm.
I feel you. I feel you.
Yes, yes. So it happens. So maybe after we talk about how we feel here, we can talk about how Americans feel when they go to Ghana or they go to other part of Africa or
Mhm.
any continent. That could also be another topic that we could also share if it's okay. I mean, with the American, maybe you could get someone that will come in to share that with us also. I know you've
Yeah.
heard a lot of shows like that also.
Well, you know,
I-
I just kind of chuckle because we don't have any issue with going to London or Paris or Lisbon or Madrid. No problem. We can't even wait. It's like we're like tingling with excitement to go. But then you talk about going to Accra or Lagos or Abuja, Abidjan or Kilimanjaro or wherever. Oh, y'all better be careful. Y'all better be safe. Y'all better be. So it just kind of, you know, that is a perspective though. That is a perspective because it's how we've been conditioned mentally to see those places as supreme and then the places in Africa as less. But you know, that's a whole nother topic. I will bring that up. All right, so let's go. First time in America.
Yes,
I'm
first time in
looking at the
America.
slides.
So
Let's see.
yeah, we're looking at that, and I'm using this too. I mean, everybody's case may be different from what I experienced. Because, like I said, if you have ties here who are able to hold your hands when they are not busy, because everybody is busy here. Even those who come here and they have families and friends, they tell them, no, go get it. Find a way out. And some people even come here and they get here, and the families that ask them to come, they don't even open their doors. You know how that could be. And I've heard stories like that. That the family that I came to had adopted individuals that they saw them by the subway on the street and they brought them home to literally give them a place to sleep. Yes,
Oh wow.
yes, yes.
Okay.
So a lot of people had end up being homeless in America, thinking that they are coming to Street of Gold. My case was different. At least I had a home to go, regardless of the 6 flight that I took upstairs.
The 6 flights.
Yes, 6 flight, I call it.
You had somewhere, you had a home and a bed and somewhere to go to.
Yes, yes, and the food to eat. And I started working in about 2 weeks when I got over here. Individuals may get here and they may not get to work. And families out here, when you get here, it's not free for you to leave. You have to also work and pay some bills because people pay bills. This is America. This is what we know. We know ourselves to do. We have to support each other, and that's what we do for a living. I mean, we'll support you for a time, but you can't be home forever. So people have to go and get work. And how do you get a job? People come, they don't speak English. I mean, English is a second language. You have to learn the English language. They will go to jobs where they may not hire them, and that is also a trauma. So the trauma goes in is emotion, in our emotions and things that goes on within our heart and the feelings that we have. You see,
Okay.
feelings is about excitement. Feelings is about feeling good. Feelings could also be very awful, and feeling also could also be very fearful. So feeling
Okay.
can cover a whole lot. I have my fearful time at the airport, but the limousine changed it a little bit for me because I was riding like Eddie Murphy. It changed it a little bit. It changed my mindset a little bit.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean those are the things that I touch on, the feelings that you had living, your country, and also, what were or are the feelings or the emotions encountered with at their arrival. Those are the things that I mentioned earlier on. And what would you say the reality on the ground changed your perspective when you landed in America or the Western world? I use the Western world because we don't just come to America. You find Ghanaians in even Iceland. I heard that in Iceland, I don't want to go to Iceland. I'll tell you a funny joke. I said, well, I could date a white person or get married to a Caucasian, but I can't do hiking. So if you do hiking, I can't go on hiking.
Let me say this to you now. Let me say this to you, Evan. Let me say this. I used to say something similar as far as hiking is concerned, and I found myself at the top of Mount Kilimanjaro, and I never even climbed. I climbed one mountain the week of that I climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, and so never say what you couldn't do. You never know. You might find yourself in Iceland hiking up there in the lagoon. You might find yourself. But no, you good now.
I may follow you.
You good. You good now. You good. All right.
It's just a little humor here, you know.
Yeah.
So the identity crisis goes on in many ways when we get here. So what are or where the visible, or the invisible confusion and thought processes. Thought process goes a long way. Like I'm sitting here with you. What is it that is going on in my mind? How am I seeing your shoe? How did I see your shoe? What triggered for me to, write to you to be on the show? So here you're like, why am I here? What am I doing? Especially when things are not going the way they have to go, because you are in another man's country. Lo and behold, as a visitor or whatever you may, say it is, you are here and you have to survive.
Right.
And the thought process remains with you. And what you do with it goes a long way, or could go into destroy you. I know people who had been here and had been on drugs, not because they want to be on drugs, but because they end up winding up on the street with all this confusion. They didn't have a place to go, and they wind up with different group of individuals who influence their lives, and they can't go back to Ghana. I have met people myself on 125th whom you will see that they're very intelligent, but when they came in, did not plug in into the right places. So it's a lot of trauma that goes on when we talk about traumas that goes on with individuals from other countries, from African continent to America. Adjustment, environment and adjustment. With my adjustment, fortunately, I left the job peacefully. Someone really had an interest in me in CVS, and I tell you, in CVS, when I started working with them, for some time, what happened was that I keep working as a stock boy, keep stocking, doing stuff, going to the register here and there. Then this individual came to the store and they told me, you don't belong here. So I keep asking myself, why should people come in here to tell me you don't belong here? So sometimes when you are facing with trauma and challenges, where you find yourself also could either influence you negatively or could influence you positively.
Okay.
But in my case, it was a positive perspective. In other people's case, sometimes it's a negative perspective. So when it comes to negative perspective, that is when people wind up on the street. That's where people's family put them out and they don't have a place to go. They don't have a job to fend for themselves. And sometimes it's very, very traumatic. Some of them sometimes end up in hospitals, sleeping in hospital beds. Hopefully, and as time goes on, there are a lot of things that we could also bring up again when it comes to the social work perspective. So we'll be able to look at how we can also benefit the African community over here in this country can also benefit, even as you give us the opportunity and your audience also allow or approve of that. Yes. I wanted to use certain examples. One time, my auntie, right, who had been in the village for a long time, came to Accra, visited Accra. The suburb that we came from is Adan 4. That is the suburb of Accra, Greater Accra, and we have these rivers. We have the sea, the tributary where the sea meets the river.
Okay.
Yes, so it's like a lot of attraction. Maybe the next time you go to Ghana, maybe I'll tell you if you could visit. Then you see it's a lot of attraction. But people have to be careful because of the water. Yeah. So my auntie came out from there and came in and came to one place we call Kingsway. Those days, they have things coming from the Western world to that store, and one of the mannequin, right, had the hand up like this, right. So when my aunt got over there, my aunt greeted the mannequin. I want to talk about trauma perspective and also adjusting to an environment. My aunt, who have never seen a mannequin before, was thinking that was a human being standing there. So she came home after the father. She was greeting the mannequin standing like this with the hand up right from the village, right?
Mm-hmm.
And someone came to tell him that, this is just, we call something HOB. The mannequin in the Ghanaian language, they'll say HOB means, a doll. A doll standing there, yeah, right? So before she left, so she came home cracking this up and we were laughing. Some of these things are realities.
Yes. I heard a story about a gun when I was in Ghana. and how the people would have to ask the gun permission to go use the bathroom. Have you heard that story?
You are in my mind. I just text my schoolmate, the Accra Academy guys to send me the name of the book so that at least I could mention it here. So today we are on the road together.
So you were gonna mention that right there?
Yeah, I was gonna mention that, even though I didn't write it down, but I was like Googling it and trying to get the name of the book right here. Yes.
See,
yes.
I know a little something. See,
You do.
It slips out, you know. It helps with my Ghana street cred, you know.
Yes.
But a lot of people don't like to talk about that story because for some people it's embarrassing.
Yes.
And really, the way that the story was explained to me, and anybody can correct this, is that during colonial times,
right,
the way that the people were trained, they were told by the colonial entity. I hate to say colonial master,
right,
giving them people credit that they don't need to have. You know, but they were told that basically they were in some sort of bondage, if you will.
Right.
And the only way that they could get permission to do something is to go speak to a gun. It's just a gun. It's just standing there. A gun. It doesn't. Nobody's holding the gun. The gun. And ask the gun, "Can I please go to the bathroom?"
Yes.
And people would, or whatever, and people would actually do it. Is that the way you understand the story?
Yes. It is in our history book. So I wanted to get the name of the history book, and I was Googling my boys to see if I could get it, to be able to say it on here. And they say it in the Fanti. It's a Meja Otu. Meja Otu. And
Okay.
Tun Bomi.
Tun Bomi.
And Tun Bomi.
Tun Bomi.
Yeah, because Sonchi Maba.
See.
Yes, because Sonchi Maba means I'm gonna go. My father gun. Do not shoot me. I'm gonna go urinate and I'll be back.
Right.
Yes.
But they would actually say that to
saying that to the gun.
But now this is what I had to tell people. It's not that anybody was stupid, because I think that what happens is people hear it and it's like it speaks to someone's intelligence. I don't think that was the case. I think it spoke to culture.
Right.
I think it spoke to the fact that you're taking indigenous people who aren't even a part of a culture,
right,
and you're retraining their minds a particular way. And so that's what I deducted, because now I did see the guy that just going now this is what caught my attention. There's this guy going around talking about growing eggs on plants and talking about it's an eggplant, like there's a plant.
Right.
He's glued the eggs to the plant. And there are people following him saying, "Oh," he's like, "Look, the plant has grown eggs." And people are like, "Yes, this is true." That's a different level. That right there is something else.
Right.
But with the gun story, I have to wonder, because it's not just the gun story. It's stuff that we do in America that is questionable. It's just so I don't know if it spoke to intelligence so much as it spoke to exposure to culture. I don't know. What's your perspective on that? I mean,
yes. I think with time everybody could be brainwashed, and I'll use an analogy. If you ever been in the farms before, of course I was all along our way in boarding school, so I've been in the farms, working the farms. If you have a fowl or a hen, and you put them under a basket, for a long period of time, they get used to under the basket. Once you take the basket off of them, they still stay where they are for a long period, or they'll be running in circles. Within that confinement for a long time before you see them free themselves go. So once you get brainwashed, anybody could do anything. And this is one of the things that I encourage people that are around me, that sometimes we have to be careful how we also look down on people and from where people are coming from, not because of social work perspective, but because of the way training that had been given to us. Because if, let's say, I'm feeding my children that I have given birth to, my own children, or maybe family, I'm feeding them plantains all the time, morning, afternoon, and evening, guess what? They will grow up feeding their children with plantains morning, afternoon, and evening, until probably maybe they get to a point and they read a little bit, get enlightenment, then they will start feeding their children some nutritional food. So everybody could be brainwashed if you put it.
Kind of like white Jesus.
Say it in.
Kind of like white Jesus.
Yes. White
kind of like white Jesus.
Oh yeah, white Jesus. Yes.
White Jesus. Yeah, that's the stickler. Like folks don't like me talking about white Jesus.
Yes.
I said I'm not talking about Jesus. I'm talking about white Jesus. It's two different people. I'm talking about white Jesus, y'all. Come on. But I wasn't sensitive to that initially.
Right.
Because in America, a few of us have awakened to the fact of the
Mhm.
con game of white Jesus. You know, it's been, we were indoctrinated with white Jesus as children,
Right.
and we grew up with that thinking. Florida Evans was on Good Times, had an episode on Good Times, and even it's a lot of Phil Donahue had conversations about it. So many of us in America have awakened and said, wait a minute, this is foolishness.
Mhm.
So when I went to Ghana for the first time and I saw white Jesus everywhere,
Mhm.
I was like, hold
Yes.
on. I was like, hold on, what's going on here? What's
Mhm.
and then you got like the little missionaries here in America wanting to go take white Jesus, like the black missionaries wanting to
Mhm.
go take white Jesus over to Africa. And I was like, well, y'all wasting your time because white Jesus is already over there. So y'all need to find something to take because he's already over there. But it spoke to me to realize that the 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 position that we're in is almost 100-year gap
Right.
in from the ending of so-called slavery in America, so-called ending of slavery in America, let me say it like that, and independence in most of Africa. So you go 1957, 1865. That's like a almost a 90-year gap or something to that effect. So I had to stop and say to myself, I remember as a child, all we knew when I was watching TV was white Jesus. All I would
Mhm.
you turn on everything white Jesus. You had Elizabeth Taylor, I think Cleopatra or something like that. You had Charlton Heston as whoever Ben Hur or whoever Moses or whatever. And so we just got to a point of like, say, wait a minute, y'all ran some game on us with this thing. And so I now understand that part of the conversation of the brainwashing is for us to say, hey, look, y'all, I know we're not saying don't go to church and we're not saying love God and all of that, but that white Jesus that you're following is really a false idol. What you're following is not the Christianity that you think you're following. That is
Right.
something that they made up. It's not real. It's not, it's a false representation of what you
Right.
say you believe. And so some people don't like to hear that though, because that's all they know. That's all they prayed to white Jesus. They put white Jesus in their house, on their cars. They buy white Jesus statues on the side of the road. White Jesus is everywhere. And then when you say to them, now you understand that you're not going to find white Jesus in the Bible. You're
No,
not
it's not. It's not in the Bible.
you're not going to find white
It's
Jesus.
not.
So you're following, basically you're following, if we want to equate it, you're basically following the devil. Now that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, yeah. That's a whole nother
No,
conversation
but
here.
but but it's just like you're not following what you think you're following. And
Right.
so to your point, these are things like the mannequin and the gun and,
Yes.
and all of these things that we've had placed upon us. It just kind of these conversations are good. So I appreciate it, Eben. All right, man.
Thank you.
I
Thank you
jumped
so
in there
much.
again. Y'all
Yeah, yeah.
y'all know how
No,
I do,
it's
but
great. No, I really love that. I love when you jump in because it make it more conversation. I mean, um, as much as I mean, we hear and we're able to impact the community. That's the goal. So thank you for always coming in and also sharing the perspective. We're learning from you.
I'm, I'm, I'm learning from you. We're all learning from each other. That's how we bridge the gap. That's what this is all about. I
Yes,
love these
sir.
conversations. And again, if anybody's watching right now, just know we can have a conversation with you about a topic that's dear to you. All Eben did was reach out to me. He said, "Hey, man, all right, cool. Hey, let's do it." And we hit it off right there on the spot. And his first interview you can watch and see what we talked about in that interview. Obviously, you're watching this interview, but just reach out to me at jcameronofficial@gmail.com. That's jcameronofficial@gmail.com. I have more people have been emailing me like crazy because they have perspectives, and this is how we learn. And there's nothing better than learning from someone's direct perspective
Hmm.
and their knowledge. So, all right, let's see.
Amazing.
All right, so let's jump back into it. So, some
Yes,
examples
right.
of
Thank you.
movies that
Yeah,
came to
yeah.
mind.
So you saw. I mean, what you mentioned already, Eddie Murphy. I was going to use Eddie Murphy as I mean, an example where he went to Ghana. I mean, and I went to Africa as a matter of fact. A point of correction, and had so much cash and put it out there, thinking that he's coming to get it. You you can't even do that here in America. You can do that. You can have so many cash and put it out there. Maybe I'll find it if I'm a good person, take it to the radio station or the police for them to announce. But people want cash out there. So when you get to a country, sometimes there are things that may influence you psychologically, emotionally, and also the things that you do might not be normal to the norm of those countries that you go to, especially I'm talking about the Western world, people that are coming from Africa to the Western world. And
Okay.
Eddie Murphy movie 1988 is a typical example. Then I Google Rango too, Rango, where this gecko had been to, I mean, the dead country, and he was confused and everything was hitting him out there. Everything that he saw out there was not really, I mean, what he thought it was. But in those same perspective, like Eddie Murphy's case, I mean, end up marrying in Africa, and also, showing that he was the prince of is it what's it?
Zamunda.
Luzunda.
You're supposed to know that now. Come on now. You from Africa. You're supposed to know that.
Yeah,
That's what people say to you. That's what they'll say to you. They'll say, you from Africa. You don't know Zamunda? Like Zamunda's real.
Zamunda.
Like Zamunda's real, right?
Zamunda.
Now, you know about Wakanda, right?
Wakanda. Oh, yeah, I saw Wakanda too.
Have you been to Wakanda? Have you ever visited?
No. Oh my. Yeah, I saw Wakanda too. That was a great movie. Yes.
Oh, I love Coming to America. I think it's probably my favorite movie.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it, and now the funny part is that you want to talk about people who like, you talk about the gun and the mannequin, but you got people from America really going to Africa looking for Zamunda and Wakanda. So this goes to show, this is both sides. We got some work to do, y'all. We got some work to do. We got some situations. We got.
Yes.
Like, man, I got off the plane in Africa and I was looking for Zamunda.
Zamunda.
I was trying to find where. Oh man, and they really get upset and go back home. It's subconscious though. They don't realize that they have a Zamunda and Wakanda complex. They don't realize it. So when they get there, their expectations are, again, what they've seen. Just like you all have seen the streets paved with gold in America. You see the streets paved with gold in Zamunda. Yes. And so when they go, and then they go see some of the streets in Greater Accra, they're like, wait a minute here. What happened to these roads? So it's like, all of us have been influenced by Western culture on both sides. It's like, even because Coming to America is a Western movie. I mean, it had African highlights, but it still had a Western perspective on it. And even Coming to America, the second one, still had a perspective on African influence. And same thing with Black Panther. Same thing. It still had a Western, even though you had a little bit more of the African traditional or different African ethnic groups and influences infused into Black Panther, it still had a Western mindset attached. Right. So that's the deal. All right. So all identity issues, case.
Yes. Case example. I mean, presents as a matter of fact an individual, a close family member. I said that already, so we could move up. So that was last thing that I wanted to talk about before I wrap up, was an identity issue and assimilation issue, which I think we've said that the struggles that are faced with individuals may differ from each other. We mentioned that already. Then I saw a search in Central Promentis, and that's Steady Africani, and this Nigerian writer, that's Ayomi Ajibade, presented the concept. The concept he presented, being a British, sometime you are not. It says that to be a British, it says being the concept of being too British to be considered a Nigerian, and too Nigerian to be considered a British. So this identity issue of trauma issue sometimes can even engulf individuals that are educated, that have even assimilated and are doing great. Because here in Harlem, I tell you, we have a lot of African doctors in Harlem and other places that, here in New York, that are doing great lawyers and all that.
What's the number one country they come from? I bet I know, but go ahead.
Most of them come from Mali, Ghana, Gambia. I've met different doctors because of the line of business that I do, that are Africans that have come and are assimilated and now are really impacting the community. But from this Nigerian Bade's perspective, sometimes you become too British to become a Nigerian, or
what
maybe.
Does that mean? Explain that though. When somebody, what does that mean? We were talking about identity issue and identity and cultural assimilation. Right. What does that mean to be too British to be considered Nigerian, and then too Nigerian to be considered British? Explain that.
Yes. Once you come here and your perspective change, let's say, for example, a Ghanaian diaspora, right? And you go back, the way you do your things, everybody now sees you that you are westernized. You have a Western culture. The culture is a little bit different than what they used to see you to be. But one thing that myself I have learned is that when I go to Ghana, I don't even wear shoes. I wear slippers and I wear shorts.
Okay.
I really down to earth. I open doors for people to sit in the cars. I sit at the back of the car. They like to sit at the front, and that's what give them the perspective that they're riding. So I do that. But sometimes when we go addressing the food that we eat, other things that we want to do become more of the westernized culture, the things I want to eat, more than like the fufus and other things, even though we may eat them. So people, oh, hey, this guy is from the Western world. Or this, even with my slippers, other people are able to see that we haven't seen in a while. I'm like, I've been here, like trying to play with them, and they'll be like, look, you don't belong here. You came from somewhere, so they see it in your speech, the way you carry yourself, the way you dress, the way you want to eat and go out there and do other things for yourself that you couldn't have done when you were there with them. That becomes more westernized when you get to the culture. So
So now,
sometimes it's
so all of a sudden, you want to go eat at La Chaumet,
exactly
where you would have eaten at Living Room. Now you want to go to La Chaumet.
right, right.
And or what's the lady's name who does the wache over in she's real
Oh,
popular. She has a
yeah,
real
yeah, yeah. With the gentleman with the dreads. Yeah, I saw that video also, right?
Oh, yeah, wait, yeah, Reggie Rockstone.
Reggie,
Yeah,
Reggie,
yeah,
Reggie.
yeah. So Reggie Rockstone, but I'm talking about there's a lady who does wache. She's like known throughout all of Accra, and it's like a little spot. You go in, you walk up in there, and she has her wache and all of that. But it's like you would not want to go. Say you wouldn't want to go to Rock's wache. Now you want
Yes,
to go to La Chaumet, and now
yes.
you want to go to. It's a couple of the spots. So you can tell the cultural change in the person. Okay, I get it. Okay.
Yeah, so that is when you become more culturally oriented from. Then now also, once you get over here to America, like right now I'm speaking with you, my accent is there, right? You know that I'm
Your
from
accent is
Ghana.
definitely there. You have
Yes,
not lost your accent.
yes, yes.
I
My
just want
accent
to
is there. So you know that I have the Ghanaian accent. So I'm not too
100%. Yes, sir.
even though
100%.
I'm American, I mean, you not have that perspective, but other people may say that, oh, this guy's from Africa. They may say that.
Yes. For a good cause. With a good cause.
Yes. So that is what it is. So I mean, he proposed that. I mean, the proposing is that the country of origination where you are, we have to try to adapt to the country. We have to try our best as people to work on our traumas, by finding resources to be able to adapt or assimilate to the country's culture, because that's where we live. I've lived here almost all my life, and live here. So I need to get to know the American system and the way Americans do things, but also maintain that kind of good things that are brought from Ghana here. That I wouldn't say that, you should shed those things. Because sometimes we get in here and we become so Americanized and we become so culturally oriented with the things that we see out here that influences, and we lose the value. That
You
is
know,
also
you make a really good point because for those of us who are like the so-called African Americans, we don't have that cultural diversity.
mhm,
Most of us don't. Most of us just know our little world, our little plantations that we've been raised on, and we'll go to a little cruise ship or something like that, or
right.
we've just kind of meaning that's the extent for many of us. We won't vacation. Many of us don't have passports. If we do, we might go on a cruise ship because we can eat as much as we want. It's all inclusive, and that's kind of like how we've been conditioned and trained. But what I've discovered is that the beauty of what I've experienced in Africa is the fact that okay, I am who I am. I was born in
Right.
America. That's my culture. I'm not going to reject my culture. I love my people. I love what we do. I love what Now, granted, I'll call out some of the foolishness we have going on, but that's because I love my people. Sometimes if you don't say anything, then you're an enabler. So, but it's like when I get to Africa, wherever I'm in Africa, it is east, west, south, north, wherever. But when I'm in Ghana, since we're talking about Ghana, I love going and now, I would never eat with my hands in America other than some pizza and some chicken and a burger and some fries. If I'm gonna, but I love getting the banku and
Yes.
get it and dipping it and learning and it's like it's an experience. It dripped down on my beard and I got to keep
Mhm.
wiping my beard and everything. It's because it's dripping in my beard. But I love being among the people and learning because what that does is that broadens me from a perspective. That broadens my world and who I am,
Mhm.
and then it also allows them to have access to me and learn. And I can tell, well, no, America's not street. It's not doesn't have all these streets paved with gold. However, if you go over there and you do it the right way, you can definitely build some gold
Yes.
streets. If you know
Yes.
what to do, you
Yes.
can do it. But but we have a whole lot of similarities, and that's why I love learning from people like you who have both perspectives and talking to people and this is education. That's why people love these talks because they recognize they're being educated on a level that a school is not going to give them. The school is not. I mean, unless you have a lecturer and you have a interview or something like that. But as far as this is information that we're putting out here, bridging the gap. So all right. So it says here when you walk with the masters. Well, all right, let's talk about walking with. Now that's a touchy word. Now that's a touchy word for us over here in America. Now what's going on?
We may tone that down a little bit and explain that. Yes, when you work with the masters, what we are talking about, like let's say for instance, you are a pro right now. In fact, do you know how many years I have been wanting to come on YouTube to just put some little perspective about 5-10 minutes on YouTube, and I don't know how to go about it, and looking for people to help me do it professionally. I didn't get anybody. So right now, you have allowed me to come out here to have an interview because you saw that there is something that I could offer, right?
Absolutely.
You are the master. When I say the master, you are the master of the profession.
I got you.
That's what I'm talking about.
And you can leave masters there. You don't have to take it. I was being facetious.
Yeah, I know that, but we are
African Americans.
We are in the media, so we got to get that right. We are in the media, so we got to get that right. So
you good. That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, so the master of the profession. So right now, when I came in here, you tutor me how to go about the slide and everything and how to show the slideshow. You are the masterpiece of what you just taught me. So when you are no longer and you are asking me to come and host a program for you, you are teaching me to be able to come you. So my father always said this, that when you work with the masters, you become a champion. Become a champion when I was a youth. And when the masters are no longer, the champions take over. That's my father's name, Michael Tetekoleku. May his soul rest in peace. Yes, he taught me that. And you know what, Mr. J, you made it possible, and you believe in the dream that we're able to come here to offer. And that is why we are here today. We want to thank you and thank your audience very much. And we say, God bless you for what you're doing.
Well, thank you. Oh, man. And of course, we got to have you come back. So you know what you're doing, man. You working it out. You real smooth with it. Let me find out. You smooth. You real smooth. No, but the reality is you have something very valuable to say. And you can go ahead and unshare your screen.
Yeah, okay, right. Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. See, that's all. It's a little.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
You just go and you
exit, escape. Screen. Okay.
Yeah,
right.
Are you okay? All right,
it's gone.
Screen. There we go.
Yeah, unshare. Okay.
Right.
Yes.
And the screen will come, and we'll both pop up on the screen.
Okay.
Let's see.
Let's see here. Unshare. Let's go back in here. Oh, it says new screen. Let's go back.
So you go and you unshare. There we go. Let's see.
Enough.
All right, I got you right here.
Okay.
I handled that for you.
Yes, all right. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
All you got to do is just click unshare. We'll go over it again. But listen, I think it's very important that we have.
Yeah, I went on share, right? Okay, so you did. Okay, right.
Yeah, yep, you're good. We're good now. Okay. I think it's very important that we have these conversations. And anybody watching right now, this is how we bridge the gap. This is the gap bridging. This is it. These are the conversations. I mean, and not being afraid to have a real conversation. And for some people who are watching right now, it may be difficult to hear certain things. One lesson that I learned in Africa is that a lot of times people don't want to hear the dirty laundry aired. But the thing is, if you don't air the dirty laundry, then the laundry stays dirty.
Right.
And that's the same thing in America. A lot of us in our communities, we don't want to hear certain things, but then the problem never changes. So sometimes you have to say, okay, this is what it is. This is how we solve the problem. And that's what you're doing, because you're going and saying, here's some of the cultural assimilations that we have to go through. Here's some of the traumas that we're facing. We're now having to deal with maintaining our original identity but still assimilating to the local culture. If I'm in the UK, then I have to figure out how to adapt to the UK. If I'm in the US, if I'm in Harlem Nights, then I need to figure out how to live in Harlem Nights. I can't bring East Lagon to Harlem, because it's two totally different places, and you can't take Harlem to East Lagon because it's two totally different places. But if you are willing to do it, then it can work for you. And I think the beautiful part is that you can have two cultures, because what it sounds like is that you'll never give up your Ghanaian culture.
Right.
Never give that up.
Mhm.
But now you're able to be diversified in the world because you can go out and say, well, now I know this too. I know this. I've had experience with this. And that's a part of being in the global economy. We're in a global system. This is not all of these borders and countries and all this stuff has been made up by colonialism anyway.
Right.
And colonialism is global. When you look at international trade, when you start looking at all of the different ways that works, you look at what's happening over in Ukraine and Russia. All that's colonial. All that's
Yes.
Russia's trying to protect they see what the European Union is trying to do, so they're saying, "Hey, okay, we got to put a pause on this for a second." Whether you like Russia or not, everything is colonial. So if you're going to play in the game, you got to learn how to operate on a global scale, assimilate, do what you need to do, figure it out, and that's how you move forward without losing your identity, without losing it in the process.
That's powerful.
That's what I see that you have not done. You've not lost your identity, and many of us who have been, I see a lot of people who try to lose their identity. As much as I assimilate into African culture in the East, West, South, North, and the Central region, I will never lose my DC go-go music.
That's right.
Heritage South, Charleston, South Carolina, okra soup, Gullah Geechee, all that, my DC.
All those good things.
I'm not gonna lose that. That's a part. I'm not gonna lose that. Somebody's like, man, you going over there forgetting us. I'm like, what are you talking about? How can I forget my roots? Now, some people do. But when I had some okra soup down, my mother came in town and cooked some okra soup, I felt like I was home. That's Charleston,
right.
South Carolina. I'm in DC. All I got to do is hear that little beat, boom, pop, boom, pop, and the body just start moving. It just start moving. But then but now I've added to that. I hear that, hear the Afro beat. I said, oh, it's like a signal. So anyway, all right, Eben, listen, let's look to do this again because I believe that this is a conversation. Think of some more stuff to talk about, man. Just think about whatever's on your mind. And, I guess we'll be like your live tutorial.
Yes, that's right.
Eben's live training.
Until you hire me.
No, you're gonna have your own channel, man. I'll be coming on your channel as a guest. To say, hey, Eben, remember me when? That's how we do it as partners. That's what I do with a lot of folks. We work together. Tim Swain and I work together. Candy Jewel and I work together. So many others we've done collabs with because we recognize, and that's how we grow our respective audiences.
Right.
So many perspectives out here, and that's the deal. So, all right, man. So listen, everybody. Eben is back again. He will be back coming up in the future. But if you have a perspective that you would like to share, all you have to do is reach out to me at jcameronofficial@gmail.com. I'll get right back to you. Everybody tell you I get right back to you. If you have something intelligent that you want to share, let's talk about your country. Maybe you're from Angola, maybe from the Congo, maybe from South Africa, maybe from Kenya, maybe from Rwanda, maybe you're from Mali, maybe you're from Senegal, maybe the Gambia is there, maybe Guinea has some representation, or Gabon, who knows, maybe Niger, maybe Chad. I don't know. Wherever you're from, I'd love to hear from you, and we can continue this conversation. All right, Eben, enjoy the rest of your day, man. Talk to you soon.
You too. Thank you very much. Bye.
All right.
See you.
Open up your eyes and see all the fun and mystery. Take an African adventure with daring and destiny. From the mountains to the shore, so many things to explore. Take an African adventure with daring and destiny.